Hey guys, my name is RyanCentral and welcome to HitScan. The new act and episode is out today alongside a lot of new stuff. Most of it we've seen, right? The new map Pearl, stuff from the Battle Pass, the new skins, but there is an event that actually starts today that wasn't announced up until now. So we'll start with that and go over everything else that's going to be in this patch, including patch notes and all the stuff that I basically missed last week. This video is also sponsored by Nvidia, but we'll get to that shortly. The event is called Crossover and it'll run from today, June the 22nd to July the 12th, so you've got quite a bit of time to get all of this done. The article explaining all of this says, stop asking yourself what if and find out what it might feel like to bag aboard Valorant stories and take them home. Mark the first foray into a mega Earth with comic book inspired player cards drawn by some of the best ever to do it. This is similar to the Arcane event pass where it's basically only a couple of levels and includes free player cards, Radianite points, which honestly I'm happy to have at this point, and new titles for your collection. Now, the player cards weren't shown properly in the article, but VALORANT, a news website going over a lot of the stuff, actually tweeted all three of them out. The first shows off Killjoy and Raze versus the Tentacled Terrors. You got the Valorant Legion, Earth's finest defense, with Brimstone, Cypher, Viper, Omen and Killjoy all on the cover, and then also an Omen one. Which, if you're a big fan of the comic book character Spawn, it does very much look like it's an ode to that more than anything. Not sure what the titles are going to be just yet, but I'd love to see an Earth's Mightiest Hero one, or maybe something a bit more on the nose like the amazing RyanCentral, for example. That'd be a pretty good one, and, you know, obviously related to comic book characters and all that jazz. But that's the new event. Like I mentioned, nobody knew about this. It wasn't in the playtest. It's all very much announced today and all of the new content. But before we go over everything else in this act, a word from our sponsor. Yeah, this video is sponsored by Nvidia. We've spoken a lot recently about Nvidia and all of the stuff that they can do. Obviously, the laptop that I have behind me, my PC, all powered by Nvidia GeForce RTX 30 series of graphics cards. Again, to highlight, when you're playing a game like Valorant, something like Nvidia Reflex is something that you definitely want to make sure is turned on. We could deep dive into this a little bit more, but again, it's all about reducing the input lag between you clicking the mouse, firing your bullet, and then seeing that bullet fire on screen. You're talking real microseconds, a couple of frames in between you clicking and then seeing the action. But in a game like Valorant, where it comes down to almost like cowboy-esque, who fires first, who gets their shot up first, those kind of advantages can go a long way. I recently did a video with the tech lead of Valorant New, who spoke about a lot of the best settings that you really want to have to optimize your game in Valorant, and said that Nvidia Reflex is always something that you want on. It's a net buff and there's never really a downside because it can reduce your input latency for up to 40%, and obviously mileage is going to vary depending on your setup. But so long as you have a 900 series GPU and up from Nvidia, you will have this option available and you can easily find it up in the Valorant settings like I'm showing you. And there's another bit of good news that I wanted to pat on. The Nvidia GeForce RTX 30 series of graphics cards are back in stock. Nvidia told me. You can check the link below just to see what's in your budget, what you'd like, put it on your wish list. Christmas isn't that far away, right? It's a couple of months, I think. So yeah, thanks for Nvidia for sponsoring this video. Thank you for watching this segment. Now let's get back to the news. We can go over everything else fairly quickly, right? Because it's already been seen. Let's talk about the new map Pearl. It's going to be coming into the game. There is going to be a Pearl only queue as well for the next 2 weeks, so you get a bit more time to adjust to the new map and everything in it. I was tempted to make like a short video talking about Pearl because the writing was actually on the wall with the kind of map we were going to get. After Fractured, the devs said that we do want to do another map that is kind of like Ascent, that there's no real gimmicks, that the map plays out like a traditional tactical shooter map, something out of CS for example, and stop going for these crazy massive maps like Breeze, Icebox, which speaks for itself, and of course Fracture, which has a lot of stuff going on with it. So Pearl, from what I've seen and played, looks like an amazing traditional map if you've been a CS player for the longest time. On a big picture, I think it works a lot like Ancient and how that approach is. You've got the narrow corridors, which is very much like Inferno, stuff like Banana for example. I think that this is going to be a favorite map for a lot of people. It's going to be a tough adjustment period because it does that to take these maps in, but overall I've only heard good things about this map. There's some elements like the wall bangable spots on this map are pretty crazy, as well as some of the sightlines being a bit too long, but naturally that adjusts as time goes on and the devs tend to rework aspects of the map after they get everybody playing it. Speaking of which, most people will know from the patch notes there isn't any agent changes coming in. There is typically a reason for that. The main one is when a new map comes into the game, there's a lot of bugs, Omen being able to teleport out of bounds, other bits and pieces that you can do with utility. It tends to take a lot of time for the devs to hotfix that stuff. So if they put in a new map into the game as well as agent changes, it can cause a lot of chaos. So I would imagine that any changes that might come into oppressive agents such as Chamber, maybe some of Fade's utility like her C's could be brought down a little bit. I don't know what you guys think, but if there's going to be agent changes, I think that's going to be in 2 to 4 weeks. Just to make sure that the devs don't have lots of fires to put out. The only ones that they need to work on are of course Pearl. The next in-game change is to do with the new Ascendant Rank. Basically, it's a new rank that's coming in between Diamond and Immortal to, as the dev said, basically push all of the silver players up a little bit. And also sort of add a bit more in the way between Diamond players and Immortal, because there is a big jump up of quality from, I think even like Diamond 3 to Immortal 1 could be a big jump. Immortal 1 to Immortal 3 and then Radiant, yeah, that's a whole different picture. So Ascendant should go in between, really stretch out the ranks, enable more balanced games overall. But because that might only impact a few of you, I didn't mean to be toxic there, but you get my point. I'm curious on how it's going to affect the lower ranks especially, and if things start to balance out a bit more there. But it is the start of a new episode, bear in mind, ranks are all over the place. So yeah, the first couple of weeks are going to be rough no matter what. The Battle Pass, I kind of want to be short on this because most of you have seen it. I really like it. I think we're starting to get some really more like solid skins. The devs are doing a real good job to see what skins and variety tend to really entice people to be interested and maybe pick up the pack. The skins and sprays are all amazing, the battle cards as well. But I did want to say that the new skin line, Prelude to Chaos, is amazing. It feels like it's been so long since we've had a skin line of this caliber. We've had some good ones recently, but the weapon, the melee for one, is amazing. It's like if Nightmare's sword from Soul Calibur and the sword from Transistor had a baby, which I absolutely love. The variants are all great. We actually get a good Vandal skin for once, it feels like, as part of a bundle like this. I hate to always fawn over skin lines that tend to just have a lot of bells and whistles and extra Radianite that things cost. Having more doesn't always equal better. But this, for me, is in line with the Sentinels of Light set, for example, and Ruination. It feels like it's been since those skins that we've had something that really shouts out loud like this set. But I really wasn't a fan of the skin line that had the gun talk to you, for example. But this I very much like. So yeah, remember that there is going to be a ranked reset. This should come out later today for all of the people in the States and sort of in the west of the world. Europe EMEA will probably get it sort of late tomorrow. We're always the last to get it, which is super annoying. But I really like the new map. Split is also coming out of the competitive map pool, although you can still play it in custom games, and I believe it should be in stuff like Deathmatch and all those. Basically unrated competitive and of course pro play, Split will be taken out. But in pro play, it'll be after LCQ, so that's in a fair few months from now before Champions. That's the first event that Pearl's going to be involved in, which is kind of weird, but it's a topic for another day. You might have also noticed that I wasn't able to make any videos on the Acton episode last week. Was because I was doing EMEA VCT. I was also trying to take a bit of a break from work because it's been pretty intense recently, trying to sort of juggle everything all at once. I have a few ideas on how I want to approach it in the future, but it was kind of nice to take a bit of a break from making content on a playtest where it could get very chaotic, and obviously a lot of like our views and interest rely on covering the event, so it's obviously very nervous and scary for me to sort of turn away from doing that. Although everything should be a lot better from the future. I think July is going to be a pretty good month for content, and everything should be back to normal in inverted commas from this month onwards, and obviously the next playtest with a new agent, whatever that might be, everything should be in line there. Yeah, this act should be a good one. Excited to see what the new rank does and how ranked overall feels, although I think it's going to feel pretty awful to begin with. Should balance out in the future. And hopefully agent changes next week. Chamber especially, I'll be curious to see what the devs do in light of that. But thanks for watching, take care. Thanks again for Nvidia for sponsoring this video, and we'll see you next time.